Hi everyone! Today I'm going to share with you a mistake not to make when you're harvesting your basil. Basil is one of the most popular summer herbs. In my opinion, you can never have too much in your garden. If you harvest it right, you can keep it producing all summer long, have a ton of basil to harvest, and it has fantastic flavor. The mistake you don't want to make when you're harvesting your basil is harvesting each individual leaf, one leaf at a time. What this does is it defoliates the plant, leaves just a single stem, and you miss out on the potential of all the side shoots growing, which will help you produce basil all summer long. The other mistake that a lot of people make that you definitely don't want to do is harvesting your basil too late. When you start to harvest after the plant develops flowers, shoots up this tall stalk here, it really changes the flavor. The older leaves are much tougher and don't have the delicious essential oil that gives the basil all of its flavor. Now let's talk about what you do want to do to harvest your basil, when and how. So the ideal time to harvest your basil is in its earlier growth stages, when the plant is about 8 to 10 inches tall before it starts to flower. And the best time to harvest it is early in the morning when the flavors and the essential oils are at their peak. That way you get the best flavor. So this plant is at perfect harvesting stage. And again, what you don't want to do is pick the individual leaves. But what you do want to do instead is pinch the stem or cut the stem. Now basil leaves grow in sets. You've got 2 sets on either side of the stem. So what I like to do is go down about 2 or 3 sets of leaves and cut my basil stem for harvesting right there. So I'm just going to snip. And what this does is it encourages the side shoots to continue growing, and then you'll get a new set of basil leaves growing out of the top where you cut the stem. It encourages brand new, fresh growth. You get a bushier plant instead of a tall and lanky plant that you get harvest from all season long. The more you harvest basil, the more it's going to produce. I like to harvest mine about once a week. That way I have tons of basil all season long to put on top of our pizzas, to put in our salads. I love to infuse it in water to make water a lot more interesting to drink, to put on sandwiches. There's so many different ways you can use your fresh basil. Now, if you have a plant like this one that's just starting to flower, the leaves might not be quite as flavorful. You can either let one flower and let the bees enjoy it, or you can just pinch it off, just like I showed you, and it will still be nice and tasty, although it may not be as flavorful as the younger leaves. This fresh basil smells absolutely heavenly, and you want to make it last as long as possible. So storing your basil. You want to store your basil in a jar with water in it. You can put it on your kitchen counter, in your windowsill, somewhere out of direct sun. Don't put it in your refrigerator. The cold will make the leaves turn black. Now, if you don't use your basil right away within a week or so, you might notice little roots developing on the stems. This is pretty cool because you can actually root your basil plants and then replant them for an endless supply. And I've got videos on that. You can check those out for how to do that. Super easy and very, very fun. If you'd like to preserve your basil, it's very easy to tie the stems together, hang it upside down somewhere in your kitchen till it completely dries, then crumble the leaves up and put it in a spice jar to use all winter long. One of my favorite ways to use basil is to make it into pesto. Pop the pesto into ice cube trays, then once it freezes, put the ice cubes into a freezer bag, and then you can use it all winter long as well. Let me know in the comments if you've got basil growing in your garden. I highly recommend every gardener grows it. It is such an essential herb to grow and so much fun to eat. If you don't have it growing yet though, it's not too late to grow it from seed. It grows very easily this time of the year when it's nice and warm. So grab some seeds over at CaliKimGardeningHome.com. You'll find Italian large-leaf basil seeds in my late summer garden seed collection and in my herb garden seed collection, and you can get them right now for 25% off with the code KALE over at CaliKimGardeningHome.com. And also grab your July Grow Your Groceries with Cali Kim subscription box. The theme is late summer garden, so we got you covered with all those late summer veggies. $7 off with the code Late Summer Garden, and it's only going to be available for a few more days. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you on the next video.